Hello and welcome to Straight Talk. Today I'm in conversation with Tech Mahindra MD and CEO Mohit Joshi. We announced our quarterly results the first quarter yesterday, a strong start to FY'26, so definitely a good time to catch up with Mohit and hear from him directly on the key achievements, the strategic drivers, and of course his personal reflections on the years that he spent in TechM. Over to you, Mohit. Welcome and good to have you on the show.
Thank you, Vrinda. It's wonderful to be here in our lovely Noida campus. Great to be back. And again, like you said, really great start to FY'26, and obviously looking forward to the next 3 quarters and then to fully realizing the promise we made for FY'27.
Awesome. So, very naturally, my first question would be we've just announced the quarterly results. What do you think, or what would you say are the three key achievements that definitely stand out in the past quarter?
So look, I think first and foremost, a very strong start to the quarter from a revenue perspective, right? So we grew by about we grew from about 1548 million in the previous quarter to 1564 in the current quarter. Obviously, we had a little bit of help from the FX as well, but and we'll talk a little bit about where the growth came from a geography perspective and from a vertical perspective. So that's the first piece. The second piece is that we saw the seventh straight quarter of margin expansion, right? So we grew margins by almost 60 basis points in the most recent quarter at 11.1%. We are now, I believe, within shooting distance of the 15% commitment that we made for FY'27. So that, to my mind, is the second highlight. And I think the third highlight is what makes me feel that the revenue growth and the margin trajectory is sustainable, in that we delivered about $809 million of large deal win TCV, right? This is, I believe, the fourth successive quarter of large deal TCV growth. I think a 40% plus growth over the past year, a growth that came from across geographies and across verticals. And all of these three things, right, were really aided by the fact that the leadership team, the broader Tech Mahindra team, really came together in a really well orchestrated fashion, and I think that always bodes well for the future.
So you spoke of the verticals and the geography. So which ones do you would you say have actually led the momentum, and how do these trends align with our long-term growth strategy as well?
So again, I feel that if you look at it from a vertical perspective, we actually had a very strong performance in telecom in the quarter, and really telecom is at the heart of the Tech Mahindra promise. From a manufacturing perspective, on a year-on-year basis, we saw some slowdown in auto, and that's very obvious, right? Given everything that has been happening from a tariff and from a supply chain perspective across the world, the auto business was stressed, but in manufacturing, our aerospace business did really well for the quarter, and that made up for the gap that we saw on the auto side. The financial services business was the fastest growing on a year-on-year basis, almost 4% of year-on-year growth. So that was again a strong standout performance. Very strong performance in retail, right? Especially in retail in the Americas, which a lot of our peers have seen as a stress segment. We're really coming across as a very credible challenger in that sector, given our unique design capabilities, our ERP capabilities, our data capabilities. So again, that was again an area of remarkable strength from a Tech Mahindra perspective. From a geography perspective, the APJ business has continued to be one of our strongest performing businesses on a year-on-year basis. Strong strength in our Japanese business, continued strength in our business in Australia. From a Europe perspective, again, aided by the currency, a very strong performance, both from a UKI perspective as well as from a continental Europe perspective. The Americas was slightly softer from a year-on-year perspective because we saw some strains in the semiconductor business and in our high-tech business more broadly. But again, remain optimistic about the future of the business across sectors and across geographies. And like you mentioned, the strong start to the year hopefully bodes well for a sterling performance for the remainder of the year as well, both from a revenue and a margin perspective.
Awesome. So, Mohit, you recently completed 2 years at Tech Mahindra, right? Now, in the 2 years that you've been here, what do you think is the most distinctive factor about the culture of Tech Mahindra?
Yeah. Thank you, Vrinda. So I think it's been an exciting 2 years, a very hectic 2 years, but equally a very rewarding couple of years, and it's been 24/7 full on. Almost from the day I joined Tech Mahindra, right? I think three things struck me about the organization. The first was about the people, right? We obviously have 150,000 people of huge capability and huge intellectual caliber, and just the quality of the talent in the company is very apparent to me even today, right? But apart from sort of the intellectual capability, also the deep connection to the organization, the deep connection to the group, the deep commitment that the teams have, for instance, to doing for more for the community, right? Just today, spend time with the Tech Mahindra Foundation and the incredible amount of volunteering work that our teams do every single day. The huge amount of work that happens, whether it is helping a blind school or helping educate teachers, or the work of the smart academies and helping young people find employment. So from a broader people perspective, I would say it is the warmth of the people, it is their deep expertise, but also their undoubted energy, right? The TechM Josh that you often refer
Refer
to.
to.
So that's on the people front, and then obviously on the client front, right? A huge portfolio of clients that feel so so strongly about their relationship with us. The fact that we, from a net promoter score perspective, from a client satisfaction perspective, we're in the top 15% of our peer group. And finally, as we saw at the Star Awards yesterday, the immense amount of support that we have from the group, the huge group capabilities that we can draw on, and just the sort of very inspirational figure of Anand and everything he means for everybody in the company, right? So I think the 2 years, if anything, have again reinforced for me the strengths of TechM from a talent perspective, from a client base perspective, and from the support that we have from the group.
And we're very, very happy to have you here yesterday as we celebrated the Star Awards. So, what would be that one message you want to give both, not just to the winners, but to the larger organization?
Yeah, so I think, look, first and foremost, I just wanted to congratulate the winners, right? The Star Awards, and this is my third year attending the Star Awards in Chennai, and then in Pune, and this time around in Noida. It really brings together the best of Tech Mahindra, really helps us recognize the teams and the individuals who have gone above and beyond, for our clients, for their teams, and to deliver the sort of standout results that has made Tech Mahindra really such a strong system integrator globally, right? So first and foremost, to recognize and to thank the individuals and the teams for their performance over the past 12 months. I think the second thing is I also saw a huge amount of optimism, right? The company has been on a growth journey, on a margin expansion journey, on a large deal winning trajectory over the past 12 months. And you could see the exuberance, you could see the passion that was there in the teams. And finally, that the team also recognized that Tech Mahindra is part of the larger Mahindra Group family. So Anand Mahindra was there, Anish was there, and a lot of talk about how the group itself is doing really well, and how some of the positive energy from the success that we've had in auto is feeding back into Tech Mahindra, and how Tech Mahindra is doing is feeding back into other parts of the business, and how the various global parts of the business are continuing to sort of almost work together and work very well in unison. So I think lots of happiness and positivity at the Star Awards. And then again, a recognition, right, that this is not the end of the journey. We are far from done, and there is a lot of work that needs to happen between now and the end of FY'27, where we've made commitments to being better than our peer average in terms of growth, in terms of hitting a certain margin trajectory and a certain return trajectory. But I felt that the confidence and the optimism in meeting those goals was very much apparent for me.
Thanks. And it was also a celebration of hearts and talent, as you saw
Yes.
on display yesterday,
Yeah, I
right?
was just completely, I think every time I see sort of a Tech Mahindra team in action, whether it's, singing or sports or dancing, I mean, just the vivacity, the enthusiasm came across so clearly, and just the depth of the talent, right, and how people really put their hearts into it. It was like watching a world-class talent show, right? TechM's
Absolutely.
got talent.
Absolutely. Totally. And before we close, one last question. What's on your current Spotify podcast list?
Spotify podcast list. So I do listen to quite a bit of Spotify. The Ezra Klein show, I think, has been one of my favorites. Ezra Klein is a New York Times commentator and sort of journalist, and he covers a wide range of topics. Obviously, politics, a lot of economics. But his most recent podcast was about the mind, right? About how to still the mind, how meditation works, how therapy works, talking to an expert. So I always find that to be quite interesting. Quite a few podcasts on history. I haven't seen the Joe Rogan show in a while. I should. It's always entertaining, but just very long.
Okay, on that note, thank you so much, Mohit. You remain our disruptor and a blazer. Part motivation, part inspiration, but 100% execution. Thank you so much for being on the show with
Thank
us.
you, Vrinda. Wonderful seeing you again.
Yeah, thanks so much.